Look, let me ask you a question, and I really need you to be brutally honest with yourself here. Is your organization actually ready for the Digital Personal Data Protection Act? We all know the DPDPA is here, but what lies ahead is, well, it's a completely new frontier of compliance. And the penalties? They're absolutely unforgiving. We're talking massive fines and potential operational paralysis. So today, I'm going to challenge you. We are going to take a 10-point self-audit together. By the end of this explainer, you won't just be guessing where you stand. You'll have a hard, quantifiable number.
Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're taking a fantastic roadmap from our source material and translating it into a really clear, actionable scorecard. I want you to grab a mental notepad. Over the next few minutes, we're going to look at 10 distinct parameters. For each one, you'll assign your company a score of either 0 or 1. A 1 means, yep, we've got it completely handled. A 0 means you've still got work to do. Let's find out your company's true state of readiness. Okay, let's dive right into this. We're breaking down this highly complex legislation into 4 manageable audit pillars. We'll define your data role, navigate AI and incidents, build your compliance team, tackle legacy data, and finally, tally up that readiness score. Kicking things off with pillar number 1, defining your data role right out of the gate. All right, here is your very first scorecard parameter. So many organizations are just sitting back, waiting for the central government to explicitly notify them that they are a significant data fiduciary, or SDF. But the source material is crystal clear here. This is a massive mistake. The government isn't going to just hold your hand and tap you on the shoulder. They generally only issue notifications for things like state security or public order. If you process high volumes of sensitive data and you're just waiting for a letter in the mail, you're already behind. You know your data volume and your risk better than anyone else, so you absolutely must self-assess based on the sensitivity of the data you handle. So, have you actually made this self-assessment? If yes, give yourself 1 point out of 10. If you're still waiting on that government letter, you score a 0. So, you've assessed your role. But that leads us to a pretty tricky question for our second parameter. Are you absolutely certain you aren't collecting sensitive data? You might be thinking, hey, we just sell shoes. We don't collect sensitive data. But are you sure? Are you literally 100% certain you aren't quietly collecting things like biometrics? Because the hidden traps are everywhere. Almost every organization processes employee data, right? Health files, financial info, often thumbprint biometrics for attendance. But think about your daily operations for a second. When a guest signs in at your front desk and a little webcam snaps their picture, you are actively collecting facial biometrics. You might even be scooping up sensitive public data through your CSR or corporate social responsibility projects. If you process this kind of data without realizing the legal weight of it, you're walking into a compliance minefield. Basically, if you collect these things, you should probably consider yourself a significant data fiduciary. So, have you structured your policies to mitigate this hidden risk? Go ahead and mark down your score for parameter 2.
Okay, so you know what data you have, but what about the data you hand off to other people? For parameter 3, ask yourself, are we truly in control of our data processors? And by that I mean your cloud operators, your payroll vendors, those massive HRMS platforms you use.
The absolutely crucial point to remember here is that outsourcing a task does not outsource your liability. You need an exact, up-to-date inventory of all your processors. Do you genuinely understand their specific means of processing? And this is a big one. If a cloud operator uses AI to process your data, can they actually explain how their algorithm works? Because if they can't provide AI explainability documents, that liability rolls right back up to you. You also have to be completely certain they aren't hoarding your data beyond its immediate purpose. If your vendors aren't ready to step up and act as joint data fiduciaries alongside you, that's a massive vulnerability. So if you have total control of your processors, score a 1. If not, 0. That's parameter 3. Let's shift gears and transition to our second pillar, navigating AI and incidents.
For parameter 4, we really need to talk about algorithms. Look, everyone wants an AI-first corporate policy right now, don't they? It's a fantastic buzzword for the shareholders. But under the DPDPA, a much safer, AI-only if required, approach might literally sieve your company. The source material points out that AI presents vast, unknown, and totally unpredictable risks. If you use algorithms to process personal data, do you have a reliable document that assesses and explains that risk? Has your board consciously decided to absorb this unknown risk, maybe by securing a specific AI risk insurance policy? If you haven't consciously adopted a documented, responsible AI strategy, give yourself a 0. If you have, you earn your point for parameter 4. Parameter 5 requires a major mindset shift. Incident management under the DPDPA is vastly different from your current IT security standards. Get this. Under this act, any unauthorized processing is legally categorized as a personal data breach. And reporting, you can't just quietly patch a server in the middle of the night anymore. You have to formally notify the Data Protection Board, the National Cyber Agency CERT-IN, sectoral regulators, and the actual individuals affected. The law even extends into consumer protection. So using those manipulative dark patterns on your website to subtly trick users into consent, that's considered direct DPDPA non-compliance. Do you have an incident management system built for this specific, incredibly stringent reality? Tally up your score for parameter 5.
Moving right along to Pillar 3, building your compliance team. For parameter 6, let's do a quick reality check on your Data Protection Officer, or DPO. What are their specific credentials? Having someone who knows the European GDPR inside and out is nice, sure, but as the source warns us, that orientation cannot act as a blinder. India's laws have highly specific nuances. Standard global ISO certifications, like 27001, 27701, or 42001, they're helpful, but they are absolutely not sufficient on their own. Your DPO needs indigenous, localized certification, something equivalent to what the Indian data protection foundations, like FDPPI, offer to truly grasp the local landscape. Does your DPO meet these strict, localized criteria? Give yourself a score for parameter 6. Let's see how all this translates into real-world deadlines because, guys, the clock is ticking loudly. By November 2026, you may need to apply to become an official consent manager. That's a regulated entity designated just to handle user permissions securely. And by May 2027, you must complete your complex data protection impact assessments and finalize all your legacy data controls. This is a massive structural audit, and it requires specialized, independent oversight. Which brings us directly to parameter 7. Have you identified an independent data auditor, an IDA? You can't just wait around endlessly to find one. If you have to conduct a massive impact assessment before that tight May 2027 deadline, you need an auditor who can actually evaluate complex algorithms and who is independent enough to report significant observations straight to the Data Protection Board. Do you have this independent auditor lined up right now? If yes, 1 point. If no, 0. We are now entering our final operational pillar, managing consent and legacy data. Parameter 8 forces you to confront the ghosts in your servers, legacy data. Think about every random spreadsheet, every outdated database, every old marketing list your company has just been hoarding for years. First, you have to discover and locate every single byte of historical personal data across all your servers. Second, you gotta figure out exactly why you collected it in the first place. Third, you must actively reach out to obtain new consent to keep holding it, or definitively, legally justify its legitimate use. And fourth, if you can't justify it, it must be purged, destroyed entirely. Can your organization actually complete this exhaustive exercise before May 2027? Score parameter 8. For parameter 9, we have to ask, what exactly is your strategy for consent collection? Are you going to focus on new, prospective data first, and then try to figure out how to migrate the legacy stuff later? Will you use specialized software for data discovery and issuing privacy notices? And more importantly, are you going to use an accredited consent manager to handle this seamlessly? Take a moment. If you have a documented, clear strategy for how you will legally ask for and track user permission, you get a point.
And here is our final operational test, parameter 10, rights management. Before you even start issuing privacy notices, you must have the actual infrastructure in place to honor data rights. You need strict protocols for when users ask to access their data. You need immediate systems to let them correct it or delete it. You have to build a grievance redressal system. You even need a system for data nomination, meaning just like a bank account, users can now legally nominate a trusted heir to handle their digital data if they pass away or become incapacitated. It's a whole new world. Do you have all these distinct systems built and ready to go? Assign your final score for parameter 10.
Well, we've reached the climax of our explainer. It's time to tally up that virtual scorecard and face the reality of your DPDPA readiness. 10. That is the perfect score. A 10 means your organization is fully mapped, compliant, and prepared for the technological and legal realities of the DPDPA. I want you to look at the number you've tallied up in your head. Is it a 4, a 6, a 2? You need to be brutally honest about where your company actually stands today, because the gap between your score and a 10, that represents your immediate exposure. Every single point you missed is a crack in your legal foundation. And I'll leave you with this highly provocative thought straight from our source material. If your score wasn't a 10, there is a very tangible financial risk hovering over your company right now due to noncompliance. So, is your leadership, is your CFO truly prepared to declare that financial risk in the annual report? Or are they signing off on a reality that just isn't true yet? It's kind of a terrifying question, isn't it? But it's exactly the question you need to be asking as you review your internal practices today. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, good luck closing that gap.